This is After the Final Rose with Dante and Alana, a siblings podcast talking everything Bachelor and Bachelorette.
Welcome back to another episode of After the Final Rose, a siblings podcast with Alana and Dante. We are sorry that we are a little delayed on putting this out. Mr. Popular over here has been very busy this week. His team is fighting to be in the finals for NBA, but we still need to make our fans proud and happy and put one out. So we're here to talk about second week of Katie's season. I'm starting to really like Katie. Like I said from the beginning, not a big fan going into it, but so far she's definitely proved me wrong.
Yeah. See, with Katie, and I've seen this everywhere, she's probably the most relatable bachelorette for people. I feel like guys can relate, girls can relate, just everybody can relate to her because I feel like every bachelor and bachelorette, they put on this perfect persona that really they just aren't. And Katie's just no F's given, and she's just her. I mean, you saw that with one of the dates we're going to talk about, the first one, where it's all Katie and exactly who Katie is. But yeah, I've been busy. I'm sorry. But Katie's been busy as well. She's down to 23 men, and we're starting to learn a little bit more about them in this episode. And you can just see they're excited for this whole process to start. Little do they know what they're getting themselves into, but we really start to get to know them in this episode.
Yeah, I would say it's different, but I do like that we get like a little more one-on-one time with Katie and Tayshia and Kaitlyn, and I think that's just because they can relate where Chris Harrison never really could. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of just checking in with her and seeing like, okay, what do you think of night one? And I definitely, like, before they went into all the group dates and everything, we get like a little clip of just the guys and how they're feeling. They're very excited. And I have to say, and I know we're going to get into this like the whole episode, but initially my reaction, Carl, who didn't really stand out to me in the first episode. Like, I didn't hate him, but I wasn't like, oh my God, he's going far. But he is acting like this is like a game show competition where he's gonna win, not like, oh, I'm here to find love kind of competition. And he's just too much. Like, he's going into it being like, I forgot what he was saying. He was just like, I'm getting the rose. Like, he kept calling it like, I'm gonna win this. And I was like, dude, this is a dating show, not a game show, right? Like, you're not winning $1 million at the end.
And we'll get to it once we talk about sort of like the drama in the house and people being here for the wrong reasons, but he just stirs up unnecessary drama.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a big fan of him at all. And like you said, like, he was confident he was going to get he was confident he was going to get the first impression rose. Didn't really have a good first impression. Then we see in this, he was confident he was going to get the group date rose, but he did horrible.
Yeah, like, I don't know where all this confidence is coming from. It's not like Katie's like giving it to him.
So the first date of the season, actually, I mentioned it before. It is Katie. This date resembles who Katie is. Resembles her entrance into Matt's season of The Bachelor, and they walk into the guys walk into a room with lingerie, sex toys, and I don't think they felt uncomfortable at first, but they were definitely confused what the heck is going on.
I was confused.
Yeah. And so it started off with them being quizzed on the female body. Half of them didn't know any of the answers. Which, I mean, I feel like I don't know. This is, we don't usually see this on The Bachelorette.
No, it was definitely more risque than usual.
But they had to sort of, after these quizzes, they were asked sort of recite a poem, sort of, or kind of like a skit. They were asked to show their love.
Yeah, like to prove that they're the best lover for Katie. And I have to stop you because I literally have never went into a date feeling so horrible for someone. The producers literally set Mike up to fail. They purposely put him on this date. because they wanted this whole virgin thing brought up, and it was the first night. Like, these are the times when I get so mad at producers, because I'm like, this poor guy had no chance. Like, come on.
But I gotta give it to him. He executed perfect. The letter he wrote, how he, recited it. He brought her to the bed. They sat down and he said it. She was tearing up. I feel like people at home were tearing up. And I felt like honestly, it may have been the best position, though he was set up. It may have been the best position to say it, because he didn't have to bring it up in conversation. Like, hey, Katie, I'm a virgin, by the way. Let's make this even more awkward.
Right, but I do feel like he deserved to tell her without an audience. And like, it just was so unfair. And it's not like he fully came out and was like, said the words, like, I've never had sex before. But he definitely, like, everybody knew what he was saying. And I just felt so bad. He said,
I something crying. I hope you love me enough to respect that I saved myself for you, or something like that, for like my future wife. But I just loved how he executed it. But you know who else I actually loved? And if Mike's wasn't so perfect, I thought he was going to get the group date rose, was Connor. His song, I loved it.
Oh, his was perfect.
He's such like an elementary school teacher that just sings to his kids.
His was perfect for what Katie likes. Yeah, no,
I also love Trey. Trey was funny with the puppets, and they kind of joked about that like for the rest of the group day, which was funny.
Yeah, and then what's his name had like the mini box on him with just boxers, which was another funny thing. Like, instead of being in this big ass box on your first night, like, I thought that was funny too. If it was anyone else, I would have been like, this is stupid, but because it like related to his first entrance, I thought it was perfect.
Yeah. And then there was Carl's, which, I mean, we already talked about how we're not the biggest fan of Carl. Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on. I
don't think anyone did. They all were like, their facial expressions were like, what is going on?
Yeah, and I think somebody said, like, get this guy off the stage.
Yeah.
I didn't get the point. Like, what was he trying to do?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see him lasting long, but
yeah, and also sorry, we didn't mention that again, they obviously, because we're in COVID, they don't bring actual audience members in. So it's so awkward, and I know they have to do it, but like, I'd rather not have an audience than make the other guys on the date, or the other guys who didn't go on the date, sit and watch that. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah. I mean, we did see last season on Matt that kind of made I think her name was Sarah spiral.
It made her spiral
and leave the show because she had to witness. It was sort of, I think, like a similar date in a way with Matt. And I mean, maybe they're just looking for somebody to
react to it.
Yeah, exactly. I think those were like the only ones that stood out during that. But we did after that date, they had the night portion, and we saw Connor and Katie really connect. They're just both like not weird, but like they just work for each other, and they're not like, I don't know, like you said, they're nerdy, and I think it works.
Oh yeah, for sure. They definitely do well. I don't think that, because the show is so like easy to predict, I don't think they'll end up together. No, I do think he's perfect for her. Like, I don't think he's the Bachelor show type, but like I said, he's super nerdy like she is, and you can just tell she's very into everything about him. That's cute. And then who else? Oh, Thomas. Thomas was cute. He opened up. We saw a little bit more of him, and he ended up getting the group date rose.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting it to be him. I did think it would have been Connor or Trey. Or
Mike, maybe. I was thinking maybe Mike.
Oh yeah, Mike. Sorry. Yep.
Yeah. I'm getting weird vibes from Thomas. I don't think he's really a fit for Katie, but I mean, they did really connect well in their conversation, and I think Katie's starting to really like him. And if you're looking at like the guys in general there, I think he'd be one of the top front runners right now, in terms of where we are in the season. But speaking of another front runner, The one-on-one, first one-on-one of the season went to Greg. I feel like usually we do not see the first impression rose
No.
be the same person as the first date, because usually they already have a connection.
Right.
So you don't usually see that. But they had their one-on-one date. It was sort of like a outdoorsy date.
Like
They
a
went
camping, but they didn't
fishing.
stay overnight is how I
Yeah,
describe it.
they had to pitch a tent, reminding me of Matt James.
Oh yeah.
With Bree. But I mean, you definitely saw a different side of Greg. Katie had talked about, while they were like fishing and whatnot, about her dad, and she opened up about how he had passed away years ago, and how a lot of that reminded her of her dad. And later in the night, we actually learned that Greg's dad passed away as well. So it was like a connection with those two, and they really started to build like a relationship between them in that date.
Yeah, I thought that when I first watched like the beginning part where Katie is just talking about her dad and everything, like I did wonder if he knew that going into it, because she did mention it a little bit in Matt's season, or if he didn't know it all. But I did think that like he handled it very well, and it made me wonder, like, I think when she kept like apologizing for being so upset, or like making it like a sorrow moment, he kept saying, I understand. And so I immediately was like, you don't say that unless you've lost someone close to you, but he hadn't mentioned it. So like part of me was like wondering why he was saying that. I was like, why would he, like I didn't want it to be come out that it was rude. And he was like, oh, yeah, I know, but really you can't relate. And then when he told her later on, two things came to mind. One, I was like, if he didn't want to take away from her moment of telling him and not be
I
like,
was just about to say that.
Me too, my dad, like she gave her moment. I was like, oh my God, that is so sweet that he didn't make it about him at all. And then also, it just made me wonder like why he didn't bring it up. Like I hope that's why, but I definitely during their earlier date, I thought he just was asking all the right questions and not making it about him at all. So I was like, wow, this guy like really knows how to handle this situation. Some people don't know how to handle it when someone tells you about loss.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. That I felt like he was very respectful in that he did wait, and he didn't want to, when Katie was talking about her dad, he didn't want to just jump in and be like, oh, I've gone through the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's make this about me. Let's talk about me. He waited until the moment was right later on in the night to talk to her about that. And you already see the connection that is growing between them. And I mean, they seem very good together.
Oh yeah, she's definitely falling for him. I can't tell if I think he is yet. Like she seems like she's more into him than he is. But,
yeah, I agree.
I don't know. That could change.
Yeah. I like Greg. I would put him up near the top right now, just because he did get a first impression and a group date. And then obviously at the end of the date, she gives him the one-on-one rose. I mean, after seeing that day, I can't see how she couldn't have.
Oh, yeah.
But I think he's definitely up there right now for, one of the top.
Yeah, for sure. And then, sorry, I'm outside, so there's a lot of background noise. I was thinking, okay, so then they come in and they announced what's it called?
The next group date.
Yep, the next group date. And I was a little confused, and I was wondering if you can remember. So they left one person out purposely, like he wasn't invited. And I don't know if that's ever happened.
I feel like they usually do that. I think they usually
just
at least leave one person out.
I always thought it was like a couple people.
Oh yeah, no. It's usually not just one. Usually it will be like two.
Okay, yeah, I was like,
either because she doesn't see something with them, or she does see something with them. Right, and she's confident and not.
Yeah, she explains that later. But I was just like, I don't remember it ever being just one person singled out like that. Not on a date, but like I said, the rest of the guys went on the date. That wasn't Greg or Michael. And it was called Katie's Buckle Brawl. They were all dressed in like plaid and jeans, and I don't know, it was kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we see one of these every season, whether
Yeah.
it's a wrestling match, a fight.
Boxing. Yeah.
There's always something. I mean, I guess it shows a different side of people, how willing they are to do something they're not used to. But I mean, right away we see that Cody and I believe it's Aaron.
Yeah.
There's tension between them, and obviously, Bachelor producers are going to set the two up
Oh yeah. Of
to
course.
fight each other, and right away, Katie notices, Tayshia and Caitlyn notice. I think the rest of the guys notice, and also Aaron manhandled him.
Mhm.
In their wrestling match, so it was very one-sided. But it
Yeah.
started a little tension for the rest of the night.
I thought it was kind of weird because Aaron ended up winning the buckle and like winning the match.
Mhm.
And out of all the guys, and I just like didn't get it, because if they could clearly see that there was tension and they were just like purposely beating the crap out of each other, then why would they give it to him? But I don't know. I guess they thought that like he represented it.
Mhm. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about Aaron so far. I feel like I always have mixed feelings about the guys that come right out the gate and say that somebody's here for the wrong reasons. But then so Aaron ends up talking to Katie, and he sort of, I don't know, says what's on his mind, how he knew Cody, how Cody, I don't know, he has a lot of questions
It was
about his
weird
past.
though, his description, like he knows him but he didn't, like they were from the same town. It's not like he gave real examples. I feel like he was just like,
He
oh, we went
didn't.
to, no, it was weird. He was like, we went to the same town. I don't think he's here for the right reason. And like, that was it. And I was like, well, where's your proof? It was kind of weird, but she definitely believed it and took it.
Well, and when Katie ended up talking to Cody, Cody was speechless. It was sort of like he knew he was guilty. He was caught
100%.
and did not know what to say. And she clearly knew that too and noticed that. And then I was kind of like, oh, okay, maybe he is up to no good being here.
Yeah.
No, so that's where I thought maybe Aaron's right.
When she sent him home, I wasn't surprised, because he didn't even like try to fight for himself or be like, wait, this isn't true. Like he literally had no reaction, except for he said like, I mean, he did say this isn't true, but it wasn't like he was like fighting to stay on the show. So I was like, clearly you think
I
you're
was
gonna
say
get
she
exposed.
said that too. She said that like if that was me right away, I would have been defensive of myself.
Yeah, anyone would have.
Yeah. But he was sent home right away. We kind of saw that coming once the conversation started, and it kind of got rocky.
Yeah.
But that sort of started so they move on after that into, or who got the group date, Rose? That was
Andrew.
Yes. Which we did see a good connection with them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how I feel about Andrew, especially after these conversations about people being there for the wrong reasons and knowing he's Clay Harbor's cousin, which is one of the most social media wannabes from Bachelor Nation.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I believe they're like first cousins. The one who was on Becca's season. And I just my initial feeling, I feel like he may be there for the wrong reasons. But moving on into the cocktail party, we sort of keep going on the path of being there for the wrong reasons, and she talks to Carl, and Carl said, I don't know if 100% that all the guys here are in for,
which was out of nowhere.
And then she kept asking him, like, do you have proof? Like, who is it? And he was like, oh,
examples,
I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to rile you up. Which it just clearly shows that he has no examples.
Right. And it was weird because he like, what's it called? He like said it out of nowhere, and I think he did it purposely. So like they all found out that Cody got sent home because of like being here for the wrong reason. So I really think that he thought if I go to her and be like, hey, I'm here for the right reasons, but other people aren't, it saves his butt. And then she's like, oh my God, Carl came to me already immediately, when really it bit him in the ass because he had no examples and he was brushing it off. So then it was just like made her wonder if he was telling the truth or not, which I think she's smart. I think she's going to realize that he's full of shit.
Oh, yeah. I don't see him lasting much longer. And I think we may see him get sent home in the next episode, just because I feel like the guys are not going to come to his defense, and they're going to tell Katie that none of them believe that there's anything else going on in the house. We do see in the previews, though, that it does sound like maybe somebody isn't there for the right reasons. I know there were like Bachelor talk, like, oh, I could possibly be the next Bachelor.
Yeah.
But I'm not that big of a fan of Carl.
Yeah, and like also, you know, it took him a minute when all the guys, because Katie obviously comes in and she's like, you know, if you're not here for the right reason, she was like, oh, the fuck home. And all the guys were confused, and you could tell they all were genuinely like shocked, like had no idea what she was talking about. And then when it was weird, she pulled Aaron aside again to talk to him, and I think she like trusts Aaron because Aaron came to her about Cody, so she wanted to see if he would spill. And he even was like, I mean, he could have easily made up like, oh, I think this person or whatever, but he didn't. He was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And you know, then she comes back, and by then Carl has finally told all the guys that it was him, and Aaron loses it. Aaron's like, dude, why the F would you say that? Like, who, like, what's your example? And all the guys are like kind of going after it. And his excuse was so stupid. Like, first off, he definitely lied, because he said that he was like, Katie came to me and asked me, and I just answered her question. It was like, no, you went to talk to her on your little time to talk, and you used it to make up a lie. So I think that hopefully these guys realize that he's just stirring the pot and tells her, because I think he's the one that's not here for the right reasons. And aren't you like a preacher? Like, what are you, or a public speaker? Like, what are you doing?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. It just felt awkward to watch, because you clearly know that he's just lost for words and has no examples and nothing to back his claims up, and the guys see it. And even Katie said it. How can I trust him when his story seemed out of place?
Right. It doesn't line up or match anything.
And she confronts the guys once again, which, well, we talked about that, but they're just lost for it. And we kind of see this every season. Like, if you're not there for the right reasons, leave. And I don't see it honestly stopping after this episode, just because I know Katie and how firm she is with, you know, being there to find love and not there for the social media followers.
Right.
So I see her being very firm on that all season long. And I think she's going to be a great Bachelorette for the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully next week, you know, like this episode didn't end. It ended like in the middle of their cocktail hour. So I'll be curious to see like if she continues it, or she's just like, let's go to the rose ceremony. Like, I'm done playing games.
Yeah,
because
probably.
This was at the very beginning of the rose ceremony that shocked Carl. Like, it's not like she got through a lot of guys. So we'll see next week what happens to be continued from this week's episode.
Yeah. And there's I feel like there's a lot of news going on outside of the Bachelorette. But to start, 3 babies born this week from past Bachelorette contestants, Bachelor contestants. We had Ari and Lauren had their twins, I believe 2 days ago, and Chris and Lauren had their baby as well this week. It's nice. Well, obviously Chris and Lauren weren't on the show together, but it's nice to see, you know, actually families being formed from this show and not having breakups. So I'm happy for them. I know, I'm not sure exactly the details, but I know that Ari and Lauren, their baby girl, is still in the hospital. I'm not sure why. I know Ari posted something that had to do with like lack of oxygen after birth, but apparently the baby's doing very well and should be home soon. But it's a big baby time for Bachelor.
I know.
Nation.
I feel like more people maybe not actually. Like it feels like just recently Tanner and them had another baby.
Yeah. Jenna had
and-
one a few months ago.
Yeah, like so many Bachelor people.
Leslie from, I want to say Sean Lowe's season just had one. And then you had Crystal a month ago about.
Oh yeah, Crystal, yeah. Yeah. And then so I saw some Bachelor cast released. I won't give, so 3 people are spoilers to this season, so I'm not gonna give their names. But the other one, so there's definitely 3 guys from Katie's season for sure that we know about. And then we have Tia and Becca, which I'm shocked by Tia because I still follow her on all social media, and she like doesn't seem like she's really into Bachelor anymore. Becca doesn't surprise me because she just got broke up with Garrett.
Yeah. I'm a little vice versa with this because one, I was shocked with Becca and not Tia because one, Becca will be the first ever former Bachelor or Bachelorette to be in Paradise post their season. Yeah.
Oh yes, Nick Viall was before he went on. Never mind, sorry.
Same with Colton.
Yeah.
But to be the first, and then the reason why I'm not surprised about Tia is that from what I've always heard is that the producers have always loved her. You know, she's ever since she was on the show, she has been a finalist for the Bachelorette.
Oh yeah, she's a fan favorite.
Because the producers, the fans love her as well.
Yeah.
Demi though.
Yeah, so Demi, I think is just stupid because she literally went on there, and it was great. Like we got to finally see like a gay couple on the show, and they made that so big, and then they ended up breaking up like afterwards. It was hidden
right after,
and like it's just weird. I'm very curious why she's choosing to come back. Then we have Riley, who we both love.
I like Riley.
So excited he's gonna be on there. And then Ed, I didn't really care too much for, so he didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, Ed just was kind of like a jokester. I'll always remember and love his scene with Chris Harrison, where he walks in at like 1 a.m. and they end up having like coffee or wine together or whatever.
He was looking for Tayshia.
Yeah, which I always remember that, and I love that.
Yeah. I did hear, it wasn't in my list of people, but I have heard rumors of obviously Victoria, a lot of girls from the last season. From Matt's season, I heard Grocery Store Joe, possibly Kendall
heard
as
that.
well.
I wasn't sure if that was true. People have been like monitoring his Instagram about it, and I think he's been gone for a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll see. And then
I assume I was gonna say, I say this because she's from Syracuse, but I assume Tammy's there because she hasn't been on Instagram in like 2 weeks, and she posts like every day on her story.
Yeah, that's true. That could be another one. I don't think we'll find out more until they can like get down the line of Katie's guys, because I know they'll want to include them. But then another Bachelor news. I did hear that Carly and Evan were separating. They were married, past contestants, and they announced around Christmas time, I think, that they were separating. And then she was in the hospital the other night, and Evan was posting on his story. He was with her, and I wouldn't really think of it as anything because he is the father of her kids. But then her brother, I guess, who is like a past Bachelor contestant as well, made a statement saying like that he didn't think that, or like this wasn't going to be the end of Carly and Evan. Like they're trying to work through things. So I loved them. So I'd be happy to hear if they do get back together, but I'm not really sure. We'll see on that one.
Yeah. I loved Evan and Carly. I mean, they're one of the actual successful stories from the show, even though they broke up, possibly still back together. But I mean, I think they had 1 or 2 kids.
2 together.
Yeah. So I mean, it's still considered a Bachelor success story in a time where there rarely are any, because the show's changing a little bit. But speaking of change, since our last episode, Chris Harrison has officially left the show. I haven't read too much into it, but
I have.
I don't know if it was Chris's decision or the show's decision, but I do know he demanded a $25 million buyout, which
Yeah.
in a way he kind of deserves. I mean,
So he got a lawyer, and this is what my guess is of what happened. He got a lawyer. They told him they weren't taking it back, and he wanted to fight it. So because of the ABC or Bachelor, whatever, whoever I don't know the legal who goes into it,
Yeah.
but they probably fought back and forth, and then was like, if we offer you, or he offered it, like if I can get a stipend. I heard he asked for 50 mil, and they came back and offered him 25.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a mutual agreement for him to leave the show so he could pretty much I also heard that with this stipend that he is getting, he had to sign like an NDR, and a lot they pretty much told him, if we pay you off, you stay silent, or we'll stay silent and not release more. I can't remember. I think maybe he said he won't release any dirt or information on the show, behind the scenes stuff, if they pay him off. Or it was the opposite. They said they wouldn't release more information about him, but they were someone was threatening to release secrets.
See, a lot of people have had issues about this buyout and why he's deserving of it. And I feel, though I don't agree with anything he did, let's also remember the show would have been nothing without him.
It's 20 years or 20 seasons,
yes.
20 years of him being a part of the show. I do get that sense.
Yes.
There is, when you think of The Bachelor, you think of Chris Harrison. His name is associated with it.
Yes. And that's why I believe in a way he built this show from the ground up. I mean, you could say, obviously, if there was different hosts, it still could have been the same, but it comes down to he was there, and he made the show. And that kind of brings up another point I want to make, that, like I said, I don't agree with what Chris Harrison did, but I don't know if the show is going to be the same without him.
I heard the ratings, and I'm not saying it's because of him, but I heard Katie's season is one of the lowest ratings for Bachelorettes. I don't remember the numbers, but I did read that it was super low. And I don't know if it's because of her or because of Chris, and we'll probably find out going down.
I think it's little bit of both, but I know a lot of people weren't big fans of Katie going into the season.
People are big fans of Chris.
Yes. And it's the reason I say I just don't know if it's going to be the same is because it's all going to depend on who they choose to be the next host. And I don't know if you saw Tanner's story, Talbert, that's the last name, him and Jade. He went off a little bit about how he's afraid they're going to make this more about the host and less about the Bachelor, Bachelorette. Because I mean, we love Tayshia and iffy on Caitlyn, but they're kind of not the main focus of the season, but they are a big. I don't know how to explain it, but the host is supposed to be in the back. The host is supposed to be in the background. You're supposed to subtly come in at times. You're not supposed to be a part of the show.
Yeah.
He even said he doesn't really like when they ask him to come on Paradise, because that's not what it's about. It's about the people trying to find love, and it takes away from the show. And so I definitely don't think they should go 2 hosts going forward. Takes away. I think you got to go somebody that isn't going to take the glam away from the Bachelor or Bachelorette, which could be somebody. I put my top. I did a few months ago when this whole thing started. My top 5 for the next host, and my number
I think
one.
You mentioned some of them last time.
Okay, yeah, my number 1, Ben Higgins. 2, Wells. I think 3, I have Tayshia. 4, Emmanuel Acho, and 5, Ryan Seacrest. But the more I thought about it, the more I think this person would be a perfect host. I don't know if you'd want to do it because he's kind of got a family now, but I would love to see Sean Lowe as the next host.
Yeah.
Because I think Sean Lowe would get the job done while being in the background.
Yeah, well, you need someone who doesn't really care about being famous, and
which is Sean.
Yes, and I think that Wells, like he has a good life. He's married to a very famous actress, and he's very well known, but he doesn't act like he cares about that. And I think Ben Higgins even like he's not really big in the like he's still relevant, but he's not like pushing to be relevant where Caitlyn and Tayshia still are.
Yeah.
But let's get into
it's going to be interesting.
Bachelor in Paradise hosts, because I still don't. Did we talk about this last time?
No,
I don't
think it
so.
came out
still
after.
Don't understand this.
We did talk about David Spade, but we didn't talk about the other three that were coming down. And this even builds more onto the issue Tanner talked about with that.
Yeah,
they're sort of making it like a comedy show rather than a love show. I do think it might be funny. I don't know if that's a good thing, but Lil Jon's going to be on. I don't remember the other two guys' names. I know David Spade, Lil Jon, and then the other two are from David Bass.
Titus Murray is David Bass.
Or something Bass, the guy from NSYNC.
Lance Bass? Oh,
Lance Bass.
Yes, sorry. Yes. Lance Bass. He's still very relevant, like in the Bravo world, in all of that. And then Titus Murray is he was on a Netflix show called something Kimmy Schmidt. I forgot the name of it. And he's super funny, and he's also, I don't think he's been on Broadway, but he can sing and dance and all that too. He's great, but I don't know why they bring him on this show. All of them don't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's like the more, at first I was like this could be an eventful paradise. And then like the more I thought about it, like, is it going to take away from the actual show?
What is the point of having Lil Jon on it?
Yeah. That is, it's going to be interesting. Definitely. And I'm going to be curious to see how they do dates down there. Because I don't know how I believe they're in Mexico. I assume they're at the same place as usual. But it's gonna be interesting to see, what they can do. Yeah. Can they go out on actual dates? Can they go like to dinner and stuff like that, like we usually do see with every other Bachelor in Paradise season? And then we talked about this last week, but are they going to start making contestants get vaccinated so it's easier to do these dates?
I'm pretty sure I heard Mexico, because I have friends who are either going there or have been. I'm pretty sure you have to be vaccinated to get in and out of there back into the US, or you have to be vaccinated or COVID tested, maybe. Like Mexico does have more restrictions than the US does at this moment.
They don't want people coming in and creating a huge outbreak.
Yeah, definitely. But a lot of Bachelor news. Maybe there's anything else. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I know they're starting to work up a cast for Michelle's season of The Bachelorette. I've been seeing advertisements for that. And I'm also wondering when the Senior Citizens Bachelor is going to air.
Skip that.
I don't think that's going to be on ABC. I think I assume it's going to be on one of their like branch offs. Because I know ABC owns a bunch of different.
There's no way they would take up a time slot on a prime network.
It's not worth it.
Something like that they know they're not going to get the ratings.
And I don't think ABC's going to let them, especially since it's always back and forth with them and Dancing with the Stars, like back to back. So I doubt that they're going to have time to put it on. So I'll be very curious to see how that goes. But that pretty much wraps up everything here after the final roads with Alana and Dante. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at ATFR_podcast, as well as on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, other podcast streaming platforms. Make sure to like those and follow them so you know when we put up our episode. And we'll see you next week for the third episode of Katie's season, and to unfold the drama with Carl calling everybody out for not being there for the right reasons.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend. Bye.